Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. We have an exciting announcement to share with you all today after 100 plus episodes launched. We have our first and only sponsor of the show. They recently came on board to sponsor all of my content and brand personally, as well as everything we are doing with Builders of Authority. Our title sponsor for the Builders of Authority podcast is Go High Level, also known as GHL by many in the community. GHL is the first ever all-in-one platform that will give you the tools, support, and resources you need to succeed and crush your marketing goals. Personally, I've used this software in our businesses and for our clients since 2020, and it's been a game changer. If you are looking to level up your CRM and marketing game, then this is the platform to use. You can find a link for a free 14-day trial in our show notes. So take advantage of the opportunity to adopt DHL's amazing software and continue to grow your business. Quick reminder as well before we hop into today's episode that we are continuing to grow our Builders of Authority community online. Builders of Authority is committed to helping you become the authority in your industry with personal branding. We have our free Facebook group that you can join by typing in Builders of Authority into the search bar. In that group, there's daily content, weekly live trainings, and much more. We have our mastermind, which includes a private Facebook group, 2 live weekly trainings, and access to our personal branding course and more. Reach out to us at buildauthority.co or send me a DM on social media so we can have a conversation. Today's guest and I got connected last year through a mastermind called Apex. We had a quick phone call one afternoon, and I was blown away by all the things that he's currently doing, what he's built, and is continuing to build. I've been watching him and his company grow and continue to level up and thought it would be the perfect time to have him on our podcast today. My guest today is Tony Flattum. He is the managing director at Built Strong Exteriors. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, really excited to have you on here today, man. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're at right now, a little bit about, how you got started and all that stuff, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So Tony Flattum, and I'm with Built Strong Exteriors. We're up in Minnesota is our main location. We cover Wisconsin and Minnesota. Been doing this for about 23 years. Started off in production with the company and then did that for a season, then jumped over to sales, and then one thing led to another, and went off and did my own thing in 2006 and had some ventures along the way. And then Built Strong got really started with me. I jumped over. My brother started the company in 2014, and then I jumped over in 2016 to help grow his company. So,
Love it. How was the transition from doing like sales related activity to wearing a little bit more of a director, having a bigger involvement just outside of the sales process?
yeah, I mean, you're wearing all kinds of hats when you jump into a different role like that, where you're overseeing and doing production, you're running and dealing with, customers, you're out selling jobs, you're trying to recruit and hire. I mean, you're doing everything. So it's not, I always really enjoyed the sales side. I did the sales side for about 3 years before I jumped into ownership back in 2006. And then I was kind of pretty much pushed into that direction. I was just working with the company that I was at for a while and just really wanted to kind of, leave and do my own thing and kind of build an empire and whatnot. So I made the jump. But yeah, early stages, you're just doing everything to try to get it off the ground until you can hire people to get in those positions to help you grow the company.
Yeah, and you mentioned hiring people to grow the company. What are some things or some tips you would share with the audience about finding really, really good people, which I know you have, to help you build and, really scale the company to where it's been?
Yeah, early on, where I first started was mainly recruiting good friends of mine. People that I knew that would come in, that I wanted to help and help change their life, have them make some more money, give them the opportunity. And then even on the production side to the office side, like all of that stuff. It was just me trying to find the people to take things off of my plate so I can still be out in the field selling and training guys in the field to bring revenue in and then backfill everything else. So I just wish early on I would have did that sooner and hired more people to help me. I was just trying to like save money wherever I could instead of playing more offense and just getting out there and getting more business and spending the money instead of hanging on to something. pay more people to do things to free you up so you can go and grow the company. But it was like one office staff, one production person, and then just me out in the field with my sales team as I was recruiting friends and family, and then putting ads out there wherever I went to a restaurant or wherever I went to have my car serviced. I was always recruiting, always giving my card out saying, if you're not happy with something, if you're looking for a new opportunity, give me a call. And that's how I recruited for my first pretty much 15 years until we hired a in-house recruiter to do that now.
Mm, love it. And so obviously I know multiple locations, kind of growing and scaling the business as well. What are some things that you all have done to build your brand on the company side?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, we are obviously on Google, we advertise there, but most of it's been like targeting local areas on where we live and our people live. So we do a lot of give backs to a lot of local communities in our hometowns and our reps' hometowns, our employees' hometowns, sponsoring golf courses, fundraisers, donations, all that kind of stuff has been kind of our go-to. Um, for a lot of years. And now we're starting to at least do some more branding out there on Facebook ads and stuff like that. But really it's been just, local community stuff and working where we're at and building that local brand.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody wants to like grow, 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 but they don't realize what's in their backyard in those local communities. They don't invest in the communities, especially. I know you mentioned, investing in the communities where your sales reps are at. That's a huge value add to be able to do that and stick out from the competition. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been huge. I mean, they live there. They're involved with all the local sports, local communities. I mean, when they're out there wearing our shirts, our brand, and they're talking about our company, they're going to the events, they're giving back and doing good things in their community. People just see that stuff on like Facebook pages, local pages there that we're there, and we're not a company that just came in from out of state that opened up yesterday and wanted to get some jobs going. I mean, we're local and been there and want to help get them taken care of. And we had a storm that happened in one of our local towns. We really did a lot of marketing there for 6-7 years before they even had a storm. Like we were just always in the community, just giving back and doing good things. And then when a storm did hit there, it just really blew up for us because we were there before the storm. We weren't there after the storm trying to say, hey, go with us, go with us. I mean, we were there. I mean, we were the local contractor to go with.
Mm. And I think that's where a lot of contracting companies and just really companies in general go wrong is they don't water, the grass until they absolutely like need the business or a storm happens or something like where the opportunity is there, right? You had just mentioned, basically doing that for 6 or 7 years before the big storm came into town, which is obviously helping pay off and has probably helped pay off for a variety of different instances. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle because they wait till the last minute.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even with insurance agents or brokers, I mean, yeah, if you're going there after the storm, you're already too late. I mean, you
Mm,
got to be doing that stuff weekly, monthly, stopping in, building that relationship way before a storm. And then eventually, if anything ever hits, they have a few options. Because, I mean, no matter who you talk to, they're going to have a company they're already working with.
yeah.
But it's good to have more options in case they either drop the ball, they don't show up, or if they got so many leads or so many contacts, one guy can't handle it, so they look for 2 or 3 other options. They're
Mm,
going to go with who they've been talking to for the last couple of years, not after the storm, because everyone always comes in after a storm and bombards the insurance company's desk and, hey, calls for leads. It's like they're just going to throw them in a bucket. They're not going to really use you unless the other 2 that they have or 3 that they have fall apart and they can't get to them. Then they'll start looking for other options, but it's rare.
yeah. No, you have to have the authority built before it's necessary to actually do it. When you have the authority built, you're going to have an influx of brand awareness and leads and people referring you, right? Which is obviously the name of the game. So transitioning a little bit on to the more to the personal brand side, because I know I've seen you, do other podcasts and things like that. You're getting out there a little bit more, obviously speaking on some stages as well. What has that transition kind of been like for you as well to be like, hey, I'm really trying to build Tony's brand simultaneously with our business?
Yeah, it was started a couple of years ago. It was just, I mean, I was always a lot more private online. Like I was use social media for like close friends, like
Mm,
it was always my close friends and we would have it on there, not really post or do anything. And it wasn't until I started going to a lot of these masterminds and my coaches and whatnot are like, man, you have a story to tell. Like you've been doing a lot of different things. You've built some good businesses over the years, got a really good real estate portfolio. Like you got to share your story so you can at least inspire and help people. And I always looked at it as like, oh man, I don't want to be bragging online and doing this kind of stuff. But when they pretty much laid it out to where it's like, you're not bragging, man. Like you're telling your story and you're growing and doing things to where you came from and what you've built from scratch. It's like you have to share that so everyone else can really see that it's possible and doable, that not everyone just has a company they open up and all of a sudden have success 1 or 2 years. I mean, this has been 23 years of up and down and pain and growth and learning and everything else, to where I just started doing a lot more posting. And then yeah, then it led to getting asked to do podcasts, which I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do any podcasts, but now I'm doing them. I'm really enjoying them. And because I just never really liked to hear myself speak on camera. Like I always thought I sounded stupid or sounded dumb or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? It's just got to go with it and do it and not let it bug you and not let it worry about it. And then lead into stages. I mean, I never thought ever I would be speaking on stages. I mean, I was always the one that would avoid speaking in front of people.
mm,
Really didn't really enjoy it. I was a best man in a wedding years back and totally bombed the speech. And I'm like, yep, see, I'm not really good for this public speaking stuff. And then I just kept getting pushed to do it. And when I did it, I'm like, you know what, man, I just gotta tell my story and get it out there. And now I'm just getting more people asking me to speak, which is really cool because I feel good after I'm done. And it's just people are reaching out and saying, man, I really took this out of it, or this hit home, or I learned so much from this. And that's where I want to really just get to, is giving back and helping people along the way, even if it's the smallest thing. If I can help one person here, one person there on something that they're going through right now, and say, man, it's I've been through it, I've done it, and this is what I would recommend to do, and hopefully help them along the way is one of my biggest things now, is just giving back.
mm. Yeah, I love what you mentioned about the giving back thing, because I think that's the piece that everybody wants to do, but they don't. As you kind of mentioned, you don't really understand that you have a story to tell, and everybody's story is completely unique and different, and that's why I love having guests on the podcast, because I always learn something, as well as obviously our audience. But you never know the ripple effect of the impact as well. So you help people out, whether it's through being on this podcast, speaking on a stage, or somebody messaging you in the DMs. We have to, sometimes take a step back and realize we're most likely and most able to have the biggest impact with the previous versions of ourselves. So while we might be looking up to other people and we're learning from other people, those are not necessarily always the people that like can really gain a lot of experience from us. But we have years worth of experiences and most importantly, mistakes that we've made. And, we reach out and we're just like, hey, don't go step in that hole. That's a hole you're about to step into. And that's really cool when you see somebody take your advice as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fulfills me, just my passion of giving back. Like I've done it so much within the company of trying to help people and really bring them in as a salesperson or an employee, and not even about just making money, but just to help them with something along the way to get them out of a negative spot that they're in, which feels good. And now that I can do it on a bigger level, like it's just so cool meeting
Mm,
people and sharing my story and sharing and hearing their story and hearing their thing that they're going through. Like I learned a ton of stuff too, just by listening to them and just starting out, like, what did you do here 3 years ago or 4 years ago? And kind of reliving those moments. It's actually really fun because I mean, you're always focusing on growing and going to new levels. But like you said, when you can talk about the certain things of a company that reached out to you that been 4 years in the business, 5 years in the business, and you're reliving that with them, talking about what you did and what you had to do to overcome and get through some breaking points in the business. I mean, it's just exciting. It keeps you going.
yeah, absolutely. You had mentioned earlier, and obviously we connected through a mastermind. What has investing in yourself obviously investing in your businesses as well through those programs, but what has investing in yourself done for you both personally and professionally?
Yeah, it's helped me just build more confidence. It's also helped me just know that, I mean, there's people out there that are doing way more than you that you can learn from. You can get there faster on business side or personal. If you're going through some really hard times, knowing that they've all been through hard times, so you're not going through it alone. Sometimes when you're a manager or you're running a company and you can't talk to your staff about certain things that you're dealing with because you would freak them out,
Mm,
and you don't want them being freaked out, so like you want to be able to go to these masterminds and talk to other leaders or people that have been through it to where they're like, yeah man, I've been through that and I totally get it, and you can really just feed off and help each other, get through tougher times to where you can learn through those things instead of just shaking your team up by bringing just bad noise to them. Keep
mm.
them positive and keep them focused on what they need to focus on. And you can just focus on growing the company and focus on building what you need to build.
Yeah. I mean, I think entrepreneurship is one of the loneliest journeys that you'll ever go on if you don't get in the room with the right people and ask for advice and seek help. Because as you mentioned, if you go to your employees or you go to people that, even friends that don't necessarily understand what you're going through, they're either going to get super freaked out and worried, right? They're going to be like, Tony, like that's a lot of crap you're going through. Like this, I'm an employee of yours. Should I be looking for another job? Am I worried about something? Or they're just going to be like, I have no idea how to help you. I don't know what to do. Right. So it makes it even more lonely when you do those things. So I've learned a lot of the same stuff. And I think for me, I joined my first mastermind about a month into entrepreneurship, which I'm super grateful for because I didn't necessarily have like a lot of experience. And so I was just a sponge taking everything in. But I think a lot of people don't join those groups or hire coaches because they don't want people to truly understand or know like the behind the scenes of their business. They want to go post everything on social media, like everything's all great. And then behind the curtain, it's like, wow, there's all these issues and problems. So I think sometimes the ego plays a key role in people just not seeking a mastermind or business coaching. Would you tend to agree with that?
I would. I mean, yeah, no one really wants to spend the extra money. They think they're just not going to get much out of it. But I mean, even if you can just go down looking for two or three good little golden nuggets that can help you personally, professionally, or, in your business, anything, it's well worth the money being spent. I mean, and being around other people that can really motivate you and get your mind right, because your mind's everything, your mindset.
Mm,
If you're down and out and you're getting beat up and you're living in that space, you're not going to want to grow and people aren't going to want to, follow you and roll with you. But if you're going down and always getting remotivated, clear head, coming back, bringing the weather with your attitude to the office, and everyone's like, man, this is awesome. Like this guy keeps growing. He wants to keep doing good things. And you're going to have people fall off too because they're scared of growth.
mm.
And then you have ones that want to keep growing with you and jump on board because they have big goals for themselves. But if you stop growing, then they're going to stop growing too. Like they love to see, their leader or their manager always growing, always developing on what they're doing because then they know that they're always going to have growth. So
Mm.
it's awesome to keep leveling up.
Yeah. Yeah, you are your environment, and when you're the one at the top and you're continuing to build and grow within your environment, people have really three options, but mainly two options is they're going to level up with you or stay where they're at and potentially even go backwards as well. So I definitely agree with you there. What would you say from your mindset aspect of some of the things you've learned or had to like go through from when you started in business versus what you've learned, through your experiences and some of the ups and downs?
Yeah, I would say the biggest part, I mean, is, for your mindset is looking at things not happening to you,
Mm,
things happening for you.
hmm.
So if you can change your whole mindset, because everyone, I mean, no matter what level you're at, if you're, you know, an employee, a manager, an owner, whatever, I mean, you're always going to be dealing with different challenges all the time. I mean, that's just part of growth. I mean, you're always going to deal with things. It's never always just perfect. So if you can look at things differently to where, why me, why me, why is this happening to me? and get that off of your plate and say, you know what, things are happening for you. And no matter at the time, you're never going to understand why it's happening to you and why bad things come your way or people leave on certain reasons. And you're like, what happened there? Things always, you look back later in life and you always say, you know, I'm glad that happened, or that happened for a reason, but you never see it at the time. So I've always just shift my mind to where no matter what I'm going through, any part of the day, good or bad, I try to just look at it as not a bad day, it's a bad moment. Shrink that and just move on past it and look at things happening for you instead of to you. And it's no matter what's bad things are happening, I'm like, this is what am I going to get out of this? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you look forward to chasing the problems and not running away from the problems, run towards them and just deal with them and move on.
Yeah. No, I really like what you said there, and I also see the sign on the video right behind you, no negativity. I love
Yeah.
that. I was listening to a podcast probably maybe a month or two ago with Ed Milet and Deion Sanders. I don't know if you came across that one, but he was talking about that aspect. He's like, I don't have bad hours. Or maybe he said he does. I mean, I know he said he doesn't have bad days, but he's like, I have bad moments, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but it kind of like opened up my eye because I think like there's been times where I've looked at it as like, okay, hey, I'll just get back at it tomorrow, and I let the rest of the day unravel, right? And so much of what we do we can control. You know, if there's problems going on and it has to do with you, then you are part of the problem. You're the common denominator of all the different problems you have going on in your life and business, right? And so I think it's definitely a strong point, something that I've been trying to focus on, I think, a little bit more and just understand it from that mindset capacity. So what are you most excited for, whether it's with your personal brand stuff and things that you're doing and or the business here in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to just keep putting myself out there. I mean, everyone always says the more uncomfortable you get, on the other side of fear is greatness. And one of my biggest fears was public speaking or doing videos or doing podcasts. Like, I just always would avoid all that stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do a lot more of it and get on stage. I'm going to get on podcasts, get uncomfortable to where eventually it'll just get easier and easier. And I think good things are going to come from it. I mean, I was just down in Florida with my family on a vacation down there, and it worked out to where somebody that was in Florida that saw one of my podcasts or one of my posts or whatnot, he's been following me for a little while, and he reached out and said, "Hey, man, we should meet up. I want to meet you and kind of pick your brain, bounce a few things off of you." And it's like I would have never met that guy if I wouldn't have thrown on a video or a podcast or something that he saw that he liked. And we sat for like 2.5 hours one morning before we went to the parks with the family and just, you know, helped him on a few different things. And it was pretty cool to have him reach out and say thank you so much for sharing that with me, because I really got a lot out of that meeting. And hopefully we'll do something down the road, keep in touch, keep, you know, friendship going, and hopefully learn from each other and build more relationships. I always look at it to where the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And I want to meet more people and see where it goes. So
Yeah. Nah, it's really the name of the game. And as you mentioned, like if you didn't make that podcast or get on that podcast or make the video or whatever, you never know who's going to see it, right? I think a lot of people struggle in the beginning of the fear of doing the activity. And once they do the activity, they kind of get that dopamine energy rush and things like that. But then they're like, oh, wow, didn't go viral. I didn't make a bunch of money from this. And then they get super discouraged. But I think they say like only 10% of the actual impact or full on views of whatever it is, whether it's a video or post, is actually reflected in the numbers. There's 90% of the people that are seeing it. I mean, I see people all the time. I was at an event last week and never seen this person interact with my stuff. I don't even know if we're friends on Facebook or if he follows me on Instagram or whatever, but like, he's like, hey, I watch all your stuff. I listen to all of your podcasts. And I'm like, that's incredible. Like, but you just never know the true impact of what you're having with all of this stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
huge. I mean, yeah, not everyone wants to engage. They just sit back and they love it and they listen to it. And like I even been just doing my daily little motivational clips or a little post every morning just to put out good vibes. And you know, and I'll run into somebody that I haven't seen for a long time, and they're like, "Hey, man, I love your posts every morning. Like, I look forward to those." And they never comment, they never like anything, but they're there. And and they say that it really helps them. So that's why it just keeps motivating me more, just to come across, post everything that I see or like, or if I'm reading a book or hear a podcast and I like something, I just put a little quote together and post it every morning and share what I'm feeling that day. And it just hopefully hits home with somebody else that maybe is going through something similar that might need it that day to lift them up. And, putting out good vibes, you'll get good vibes back. And it's been great.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. So, Tony, as we kind of wrap up here today, what's one thing that you want to leave with your audience, maybe that we didn't chat about today, whether it's about branding, entrepreneurship, literally just life in general as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I would just say, no matter what level you're at and whatever you're doing, just give back, help people, be genuine, be humble. Don't let the money get to you. Don't let the ego get to you. Just everyone needs a good hand lift up, and just be that person that somebody can lean on and call you a friend, or reach out to you in bad times, and hopefully you can get them turned around, because we need a lot more of that with everything that's going on these days, with all the negativity and all the problems out there and people going through some tough times. I just want to be that person that anyone can reach out to me at any time. I'm easy to get a hold of. I'll always respond back, and just want to, be that person that can hopefully change somebody's day and turn it into something great, and just be there for everybody. So
I love it. You're doing incredible stuff. You're a great human being, and I'm excited to continue to see you grow. Where can people stay connected with you online?
yeah, mostly I'm on Facebook, so it's just my name, Tony Flattum. And then Instagram is my two platforms that I've been using a lot lately. So those are the two that you can DM me, get a hold of me through there. Um, that's the main two. Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't really go on there as much. But those other two, I'll at least respond a lot faster. So they reach out there.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we'll put all that stuff in the show notes. Tony, thanks again for coming on, man. This is a great episode.
Thanks, man, for having me. I really appreciate it. It was awesome meeting you. I look forward to seeing you at more events down there. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. And thank you again to our amazing title sponsor, Go High Level. Without them, we aren't able to produce the quality of content or have the amazing guests like Tony, which we did today. Make sure to check out their free 14-day trial in the show notes, and also leave us a 5-star review. We're making a big push for reviews this year, and it definitely helps move the needle. And remember, authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.